Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul. I work for a company called Micrographics. We're in Cape Town, South Africa. We're an Autodesk reseller, and today I'd like to discuss revision codes and suitability codes as practice on the ISO 11650 standard, specifically on the Autodesk Construction Cloud. What you can see over here is an Excel spreadsheet that explains the typical suitability codes that the ISO 11650 borrowed or used from the British standard. They are status codes for files. These are given as metadata, starting off with the work in progress S0, suitable for coordination S1, suitable for information S2, partial or suitable for review and comment S3, partial suitable for stage approval S4. Going through, there are some other suitability codes specifically for published documentation, where we can see that there is A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6 being stage complete, and similarly to that also partially stage complete and for comment by the owner. You can see that the revision codes are also included over here. The revision codes in South Africa, that might be a letter during the planning and then a number during the construction. You can see they've got the P indication over here, and then they take that to the C indication during the publish. So the revision code also tells the people where it is within the workflow. So those two codes work together. The status code, what is the file intended for, and the revision code, what is the revision code. This is metadata, and it also slip sheets within the platform. All right, so as we can see here, we've got our folder structure. This folder structure is open to interpretation. I'm still coming to terms with creating a folder structure and applying the suitability code and the revision to that. The revision is relatively simple to understand once you see it visually in front of you, that we've got three different zones, one for work in progress, one for shared, and one for published, where within the work in progress folder, the revision that they use in England and in the ISO, let's refer to it as the ISO standard, goes from P.011 to P.012. So you've got this thing that they call a minor revision. So the major revision is P01, the minor revision is 1, 2, 3, as the file gets revised within the work in progress folder. And from there, it goes into the shared folder. They drop the minor revision and they keep the major revision. If it is pushed back into production, then they increment the revision to P02, and so it goes on through the cycle until eventually it is finished. When they get to the published section, then they change the revision to C01, and then it might be pushed back for revision. You can see how the progression of the revision and the suitability code are divorced from each other. So if it gets pushed back into work in progress from C01, then the suitability code might still stay the same. It might still be for final stage, but the revision has changed, and so it will go. All right, so how could we apply that to a file? First, let's have a look at the slip sheeting of the file. So it's something that we referred to earlier. What is slip sheeting? So we just want to see the version on this file as well. There we go. So this is version number 1. This file has just been copied into this folder, and I've added the metadata to this file. So I said that the suitability is S0, and there we can see the rest of the information, the classification, which is based on the standard, and then the revision is the first revision. So when this is next done, it will stay S0, and it will go to maybe P01.02 if something was revised within that file. So let's have a quick look at that. So I just picked up an error with Revit. I had copied this central file, this Cloud Workshed file, across to this folder with a bridge, and it failed. So I had to reinitiate the file in my Revit. So unfortunately, this now has been first published, version 2. I've just put the metadata back And this is what it looks like in Revit. I just want to make one quick change. We can just put an annotation, a detail line in here, something like that. Anything will do, just something to indicate that we've got something new. We synchronize that with Central, and then we'll publish the latest version. It shouldn't take long, it's just a line. We're doing quite an empty file just for this quick demonstration. And then we'll be able to publish that hopefully from the Home tab. Let's just see if we can refresh this dialog. Right, so in the absence or in the presence of this error within Revit, my apologies, I'll have to try and see what is causing that, but we can still get at the publishing of the model here from published latest, which I'll do now. We'll update this Revit file. I'll just there we go, we've published the latest. Then we can see the file coming through, and now it's going to be version 3. So let's suppose that I had made some revision to that file, then I can say that's revision p.1.2. Status is still S0. And if I wanted to revert to the earlier version, I could go and click on the version itself. And if I revert back to the earlier version, V2, then you'll see how it slip sheets. Let's just wait for it to finish processing quickly. I just don't want to introduce a further error. I'll just pause until then. Right, so it sent us into a bit of a spin, but let's see that we can revert back to an earlier version there. We can make version 2 current and say restore, and what will happen is that the P01 will roll back to now it's processing P02. Okay, it's attempting to go back to P02. Okay, if it's gone back to version 2, then it's gone back to P01.01. And now the idea is when we share this file into our shared folder, that we'll see what happens to the status of the file. At the moment, there's nothing in there. So if we look at our shared folder, there's now nothing in there. It hasn't been shared yet. And so if we publish a package, we can save that and share it. And then share. That then copies that file into the shared folder. Let's quickly control the metadata that we see, the description, the status, the classification, the version. Right, so there we can see it's actually copied the file through with its revision, right? And so what we could do over here is we can then go and change that revision to P01 and the status to S1. Now if somebody else had to consume that package, Let's say somebody from a clash detection unit has to go and share that package, consume that package. That will then get copied into their consumed folder. And it will have the correct status and revision number. And then similarly, when we put something through a revision or through a review, then we would like to copy that into the review folder. So let's suppose that we're submitting this for review. I've actually got some review that we can use here. Alright, so here's a draft approval, which we're going to send it through for information. And what I've got over here is a published folder for information on the stage A0. We'd like to copy it in here. And so with our workflow, I'm saying to copy and then to required by approval to increment the suitability code. And so I'm going to submit an approval workflow for our shared model over here. I'm going to submit this for approval. That's a workflow that we use. Review, I'm just going to put today's date. And submit for review. I'll review that. Okay, I'll put that to approved. Submit that for review. Okay, let's go and have a look at that in the folder. Okay, we would change the status to stage complete. This document would be for information. That could be an S2. But if it is stage complete, we should possibly put that as A2. A1 in this case. A0. Change the status to A0. So I hope this has introduced the concept of status codes and revisions. It's still a work in progress for me, and I'll certainly be doing more posts on the workflows that's available within the platform as time goes by. Until next time, enjoy Revit and enjoy the Autodesk Construction Cloud.